Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, just like everybody in the world, I dread coming home from a vacation, but I dread it for a reason that might not be as common as some other people. I hate driving. And this is the longest I've gone without driving in my, no, it's not quite the longest because I did take a break when I was in between cars. But this is only the third longest time in my driving life that I've taken off of driving. I lived in New York City for 8 months, and other than a couple of times that I had a rental car for a trip, I didn't drive that time. I got into a car accident in the summer of 2016, and I took 8 months off of driving that time. I had a really nice living arrangement. What had happened was I was working at a technology startup, but I discovered that over in Redmond, Washington, there are a lot of companies that will rent office space. And I rented a 50 square foot office to live in. And so I got away with doing that for quite a number of months. What was really funny was that when I got caught, the owners realized that it was very difficult to evict somebody from an office like that. And so they would make all sorts of frivolous complaints that like they would complain that there were smells emanating from my office. They would complain about noise. What was really funny was I was away on vacation when they kept writing emails complaining about noise, so I knew it wasn't true and I could document where I was. So I disputed my credit card charges because I could document. I wasn't even there when they complained about noise. This can't be me. And so not only did I live in there when I shouldn't have for 8 months, but I didn't even pay for the last couple of months of rent. So but I had a really good time, not only because of how much rent I was saving, but because I wasn't driving. And so to give you an idea of how much I hate driving, I do a lot of private tutoring gigs. I'll find clients on my own. And the first thing I want to know when I find the client, even before I know what I need to teach them or how old the student is or their kinks and all that, the first thing I want to know is what does the commute even look like? Right? One time I was talking to the kid's mother on the phone, and I had a very vague idea where they were from. On the Facebook ad or wherever I saw it, they only said the name of a city, and that area of Phoenix is huge. And they wanted a number in terms of the price, and I so badly wanted to know their location, so I asked them, well, what school district do you go to? So I could Google that. And I wanted to see that before I gave the quote. Because when I think about a tutoring gig, it's really a driving gig. It really is. Sometimes it actually is worse because sometimes that tutoring gig might be in a certain location. You got to drive from here to there. And when you quote it out, some of these parents are very cheap. And when you look at their quote, you realize you can't even call an Uber that distance for that amount of money that they're offering. And so it's worse than a driving gig. And then you got to go there and tutor, right? But it made me think about what are some things that I do that are on par in terms of risk compared to driving, and I can't think of a thing. Well, I guess I'm a college professor, so technically I might not even have a safe job anymore these days with all the school violence going on. I wonder, working as a professor at a community college is probably on par with some of the more dangerous jobs out there. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Maybe somebody could do the statistics up there. But short of that, besides the car, besides going to school and risk being involved in school violence, the third riskiest thing that I do, I probably couldn't decide what it is. My mom used to be really concerned about me getting involved with either online dating or when a friend of a friend sets me up on a date and I don't know them very well, and I almost missed out on, the current situation in my life, in large part because my mom was so worried about me doing it. Thank God she wasn't here in Taiwan. I had to I couldn't for the first couple of weeks that I knew the girl, I couldn't even tell my mom what was going on because I she would blow up at me. And yet you turn on the news, how many people got murdered by somebody they met on an online dating app versus how many people died in a car accident last night? I'll let you Google those two numbers, right? It just goes to show that we don't we let our emotions decide more than hard data does these days, right? My dad is concerned about me working with the metals, obviously, and I've only had a few notable incidents. I still have a couple of marks on my phone from the time I got molten bismuth. What had happened was that I had bought a couple of slabs of bismuth from China. They were huge. They were 34 pounds and they were about this size. And the way you melt them is you put them diagonally into a 8-inch pot and it will melt and sag downward. But obviously, 34 pounds would probably cause the entire pot to collapse. So then you've got to put on your oven mitts, and after a third or half of the bar is melted, take the rest of the bar out of the pot. I was doing that when the rest of the bar just slammed into the pot. Molten bismuth splashed everywhere, and some of it landed on my arm. And that was a year and a half ago, and I still have marks from that. But that wasn't so bad, right? Another time I had this was after the tariffs. You could only buy like scraps from other stuff, right? I had bought some surplus ammunition that were imperfect or something like that, and when I melted it down, I got seriously poisoned. I don't know what it was. I later took the metal to my local coin dealer who could test it, and he claimed it was a alloy of bismuth and tin's not usually that toxic, right? So who knows? It could have been very trace amounts of other, his XRF gun only goes down to 0.1%, right? And it could have been lead or thallium at a much lower concentration that might not be detectable, or maybe even a radioisotope. Who knows, right? Um, and anything that would easily mix with bismuth would probably be pretty toxic, right? But even then, all of that pales in comparison to driving. My dad also gets very nervous when I do business online and get involved in really shady stuff. I had ordered 100 pounds of bismuth, but the seller only sent me 60 some pounds, and he wasn't even very good at the scam because he sent it in a post box that showed how many pounds were on the label. And so I disputed that with my credit card company, and the seller was really upset and harassed me on eBay and caused the eBay account to be closed and threatened to kill me and apparently made some harassing phone calls to my parents. I don't know how my account got linked to my parents. My parents were so upset about that. They thought it was unsafe that I was doing this stuff. One time I had accidentally scammed an online scammer. I had met somebody on Tinder who said that they could get me involved in some kind of investment scheme and showed me how they had turned 10,000 into 50,000 or whatever it is. I knew it was a scam, but I was bored. And so I asked the scammer, I knew it was a scam. I asked the scammer, can I try it with like 50 bucks and we'll see how it goes? Because I could lose 50, but I just want to play around with them, get their hopes up that I might invest a few $1 million at some point. And sure enough, my 50 turned into 200. And I told the scammer, you know what? I want to try withdrawing this just to make sure it will work. As soon as I get the money in my account and withdraw it, I'll consider investing more. I got some family members I can give, but we really got to see it. And sure enough, the scammer allowed me to withdraw the $200. And then I just closed my Tinder account. And the scammer was so pissed at that. And my dad thought that I was playing with fire doing all of this. Another time I got an email saying that I had won a lot of money in the lottery, Nigerian lottery, obviously. And if I paid these taxes, I could collect the money. And I told the Nigerian scammer that I'm a precious metals dealer and I could send him some precious metals. I took a bunch of slag from melting zinc. You know, zinc slag isn't exactly easy to recycle back into metal. It's not really worth it. And I spray painted it with gold paint and I mailed it to him. He was so pissed at that. Got his hopes up because the package was so heavy and all that. And my dad thinks it's really dangerous for me to play games like this. And yet, every day, how many people die in a car accident, right? How many people get murdered by somebody that they thought they were scamming, right? It doesn't even compare, right? How many people die from you could Google this, right? How many people die from playing with molten metals or even the lead poisoning or whatever it was, right? How many people what was the other stuff that I talk about? Hey, I really can't think of the third most dangerous thing that I do on a day-by-day basis. I really can't. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum, 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 bum.